of tie breaks ended in 2 points for each player, Sindarov, Praggnanandhaa and Abdusattorov. The second set of tie breaks started with a draw between Prag and Abdusattorov, and now the second game between Sindarov and Praggnanandhaa will be very exciting. The arbiter signals to start the game e4, d5. Prag goes for the Scandinavian, takes with the queen, plays his queen to a5, bishop f5, knight f3, e6, and now knight e5 is a very interesting move. And you can see that Praggnanandhaa has basically understood that in order to put pressure on his Scandinavian in blitz, his opponents need to be prepared. And because Sindarov wasn't really prepared, he went for this bishop d3 line, which is kind of toothless, to be honest. c6 played. And now black is very comfortable. It looks like a Karo Khan that has gone right. Knight jumps to e4. Praggnanandhaa happily trades it. Knight goes to d7. He jumps in with his knight. Last time he went knight f6. That was in the first tie breaks. He played his knight to f6. But this time goes rook d8. And a very good innovation. Because if you take here, I am happy to take with my rook, which is already very well placed on the d file. Sindarov is considering, should he keep the knight? He goes rook d1. Maybe Prag can capture it. Maybe he can castle. Yes, he decides to castle. Keeping the knights on the board with knight c4 makes not much sense. You can go queen a6. So a4 played here by Sindarov. He's trying to gain some space on the queen side. And maybe it's time for Prag to trade on e5. He takes it, knight takes on e5, bishop e5 and plays his bishop to d6. The bishop on d6, I'm offering to trade. Queen d5, bishop takes d6, rook takes d6. And now we enter a very interesting endgame, just major pieces. And I like this move by Sindarov c3 because, you just don't want to create a weakness out of d4 by pushing your pawn too far ahead. And Prag may try for c5 at the right time, may not. It's an open question. I think Sindarov can go h3 or h4, g3. Just try to improve your position. This pawn on a4 does feel like a small weakness because this rook can no longer move away. But maybe you can go b3 next. Yes, black does feel slightly more comfortable in spite of having less space. g6 played. A nice move so that there are no attacks on the king side. But now white can hope that in future gets this pawn all the way to h6. Prag has been playing pretty quick. He has 2 minutes 44 seconds. Sindarov down to 1 minute 40 seconds. b4 always tricky to push such pawns, but he wanted the queen out from there so that he could get his rook into the game. Makes a lot of sense. Queen trade can be done here. Queen d5. And I think if you take, Prag would take back and then try to attack on the c-pawn weakness here. So, Queen d5. Very, very strong idea. But I don't think Sindarov is going to take it because he's hoping for an eventual attack on the king side, but he's taking a lot of time. He has just 1 minute 15 seconds. He goes rook e3. Prag pushes a5. Another very interesting move by Praggnanandhaa. He's trying to create something on the queen side with a5. Fixing this pawn, maybe later trying to attack it, and kind of uncomfortable for Sindarov. Now queen takes a5. a4 has become a weakness. h4, a good move by Sindarov, trying to go in with h5, h6. For Prag now it's decision time. How dangerous is h5? Because you have b5 trying to take advantage of this unprotected nature of the rook on a1. He goes for it, but it also sidelines his queen now. h5 looks super strong. In fact, it looks like an amazing move to go h5, to just attack, to just go all in. Queen c2 played. Maybe you didn't need to make your queen passive, but these are split-second decisions you have to make. Prag very quickly goes rook a8. He has 2 minutes 19 seconds. Sindarov down to his last 40 seconds. h5 now must. You can't keep nursing this pawn here. That pawn is gone. Maybe rook e5 is there, but then there's rook d5 trying to trade. 25 seconds for Sindarov. He's not playing. Oh my goodness. He needs to move. He needs to move. 18, 17, 16. He's shaking his head. h5 played. B takes a4. Pragg gets the pawn. But h6. This is what white needed. A pawn close to the king to create some mating attacks someday in the future on the g7 square. That is very important. And now Praggnanandhaa can go rook d5, trying to go after this pawn. You can see now Pragg, the alertness that he's showing on the board, even though he has close to 1 minute 40 seconds lead, is important. There needs to be that urgency in your calculation. You want to get those moves rolling. Do you want to push this pawn to a3? He goes rook d7. Not so sure where this rook is headed. Maybe to b7, maybe coming in like this. Rook e5 played, attacking the queen. And the rook comes up. Sindarov goes back, rook e1. And now maybe rook h5, attacking this pawn on h6. Yes, he plays it, rook h5 on the board. And now rook e5, super important move. But queen d2 played. Already Pragg is better. He can go queen d8 with the idea of queen h4, threatening a mate here and going after the h6 pawn. He goes queen c7. Now very important to find rook e5, takes. If queen e5, there is rook a4, but he doesn't. He plays rook b1, queen h2. I think he completely missed it. Sindarov missed it. King f1 has been played. Praggnanandhaa has now 1 minute 17 seconds. He makes the pragmatic decision of taking the pawn. Queen e3 played. Rook h5 comes up. And now queen f3. The queen is somehow trying to defend the g2 pawn, but it's not going to be enough here. Queen goes back to c7. Praggnanandhaa now threatening check and trading one of the rooks. His a pawn super strong. g4 played. Rook goes to a5. King comes up to g2. You have to be slightly careful. White can switch the rook. Suddenly the queen enters in. It's a little bit of a tricky business, but Pragg has time. He has 55 seconds. Sindarov down to 10 seconds on the clock. He pushes a3. Rook h1. And now a2. Do you want to go for it? Or there's queen h3. You want to be careful. Pragg finds rook g5. Very important move. If queen h3, h5, taking advantage of the spin. King goes back to f1. Sindarov is so tricky. Even with like 5 seconds, he's just putting a lot of pressure on Praggnanandhaa. a2 played. Queen e3, attacking the rook. If you take on g4, maybe he wants to enter here. Yes, taken queen h6. And maybe f5 is the answer to defend h7. Yes, finds it. Queen goes back to d2. Black is now totally winning. Queen f4 offering a queen trade would be great. Queen b8 played. Maybe he wants some check business. f3. Pragg has also 10 seconds now. 9, 8. He's also low on time. He's thinking what to do about this rook. There are problems. He goes queen f4 with just 3 seconds. Queen e2. Avoiding the queen trade. King goes up. King g7. I love this move. Taking advantage of the spin. Rook h3. Rook g3 trades. Queen takes. And queen e3 played. If you take on e6, f3 is hanging. So h5. Pragg is ready to roll his pawn down the board. c4. h4. And what a nice way to create another chance. His pawn is on a2. He's not thinking about it. He's got his other pawn going. This is called the principle of two weaknesses. Sindarov has only 4 seconds. King h7, being alert to opponent's checks. Queen goes back. And now check here, trades the queen, takes hg2, king g2, and now he's 3 pawns up. Sindarov resigns. Praggnanandhaa